Cut my head off.
All right, guys. So Jason and I wanted to get on and record this video for anybody that was interested in the Indianapolis live we did. This was probably a month ago, right, Jason? Maybe even a
Yeah.
little bit more than that. And I'm so sorry it's taken me so long to get this back out to everybody. As you may or may not know, we were hit by a pretty strong hurricane in Asheville and had a couple weeks with no power, water, stuff like that. So we've been back in the office for about a week now and just trying to get caught up on all this stuff. So wanted to do this kind of deep dive into some of the data that we can find on the advanced version of AirDNA for the Indianapolis market as a whole, and then even dive into some of those sub-markets. So let's take a look. Overall, the numbers look really good. Annual revenues up 5% year over year. Average daily rates up 6%. Revenue per available rentals up 5%. It says occupancy rates down 1% year over year, but I think that's probably a negligible change just based on market trends and there being more rentals more than anything else. Rental growth has been really significant year over year. A lot more short-term rentals. It's becoming a lot more popular in the area. We're kind of looking at this as like an emerging market, so that's going to happen for sure. But what I think is really interesting is like the number of new listings is up 13% year over year. One thing that I wanted to really look at here was booking demand, and we'll look pre-COVID. Everybody likes to see these numbers, and you can get these on the advanced version of AirDNA. And if you take a look at, what happened this summer versus the last summer and the summer before that, all the way since COVID, you can see a marked increase every year, especially in 2023. Jason, what do you think that was? Or in 2024, what do you think that was? Was there like, is this a one-off or this is just the new normal?
I hope it's a new normal, right? I don't think there's any big changes that's happened to our market besides maybe just more people are grasping the fact that this is a really good real estate niche to be in.
Yeah. I think what it looks like to me too is like there were about 3,000 rentals most of the year. There were 3,900 in August. I have to assume that there's some big event that happens in August where people put their properties online. And you do have a lot of big compression events there. But overall, it looks like there were about 3,000, maybe 3,200 rentals. And this year there's like 4,600. And so obviously that's going to lead to more nights booked because there's more availability of nights. So it seems kind of like, past COVID, there was only like 1,400 rentals in the whole area. And this is like half of Indiana, this whole area that Indianapolis looks at on a market scale for AirDNA. And that's continued to go up little by little. And that's going to increase the number of nights booked, but it really shows what that booking demand looks like. The demand is there to fill the rentals, with over almost 70,000 nights booked July of this year. And if you look at July of last year, only 50,000. So that's definitely, there's been a 13% increase in the number of rentals, yet a huge increase in the number of nights booked.
So in April, we did have the solar eclipse, and we were in the middle of it. So we had the most darkness of anywhere in the country. I think we were in that line. So we had a ton in the April 8th or April 6th. I can't remember the date. So that could add some to it, and maybe people bought some for that. Maybe some people used a house for that and decided to continue to use it.
It's crazy. Yeah, look at the increase from March 3,400 listings to April 4,400 listings. I don't think people bought new short-term rentals to take advantage of a one-day compression event, right? So to me, this looks like these numbers of the number of rentals might be inflated based on that event happening and a lot of people putting their places online and then maybe not taking them offline for summer. Maybe they weren't available. You see a little dip back down to 4,000 here in June, but then it's back down to 3,800 here in September. So this 4,000, 4,800 number, that happened in August may actually be a little bit overinflated potentially. That data is hard to get. Like when a new listing comes online and then it goes immediately offline, like what happened in, I think it was Arizona last year for the Super Bowl, right? People were leaving their primary homes and putting them on Airbnb. That's going to affect these numbers, and it's going to affect them for a little while because Airbnb doesn't really, or AirDNA doesn't really know how to gauge a 1-day compression event like that. It's interesting. Average revenue was up significantly year over year, especially for apartments and condos, which Jason told me there's not a lot of availability of those, but could be an interesting market to look at. And I always like to take a look at this one. So this is total market revenue. So what we learned already was that in the entire market, Indianapolis market, which is really almost all of Indiana, it's kind of what AirDNA is calling it. There are 4,300 active listings today, and it's up 13% year over year. Yet, if we take a look at like the top of last year, which was July of 2023, they did 9.6 million in short-term rental revenue. And this year it was 14.2 million, which is almost a 50% increase in revenue year over year, yet only a 13% increase in the number of listings. So this is what's really interesting is people are spending a lot of money on short-term rentals in the area, yet they don't have the number of listings boost that a lot of these other areas do, like the Smokies or something like that. So I found that really interesting. What do you think, Jason? What do you see for the market going into the future?
I think it's going to continue. I mean, I see that you showed that decline a little bit, and maybe we do decline from those top numbers, but I don't think it's going to go down beyond 2023 numbers. I think it's only going to continue to grow because it has, it's shown that incline.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think that was really just more than anything. It was only the number of listings, right? That was the only decline we saw. Other than that, revenue's up and the number of nights booked were up from 40,000 to 60,000, which I thought was really interesting. And these kind of like super properties, that Bill Faith talks about, obviously can do really well here. I think when we did the live, you said you could get something like this, which is like a 5-bedroom house. You could get this for like 500,000 or 600,000, kind of in this downtown area, right?
Yeah, you can.
So, and really what they did was they just maxed it out as a super property. Obviously, they've got a mod pool there. They've got great photos and great design. They've got a hot tub, and it looks really new and nice. For 500,000 or 600,000, and then to do 180,000 in revenue, this is the only market I've seen that potential in. And they're obviously stealing the market here because they've got 90% occupancy. This thing's booked every day, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool. So then, and this is in the downtown area. So like if we look at submarkets, let's look at what that downtown area looks like. I found this data really interesting. So that other, section of AirDNA was showing Indianapolis, but that's what AirDNA calls Indianapolis, which it was showing almost the whole of Indiana. So this is just the downtown area, which is really popular. And this only has 2,000 short-term rentals. I think if we scroll down here, yeah, it actually shows total active listings at only 1,191 listings, which I think is really interesting. But what I found incredibly compelling was annual revenues up to 10% year over year. Average daily rates are up 8% year over year. Revenue per available rentals up 10% year over year. And then even occupancies up 2% year over year. So it's really, really rare to find something like that in a market these days. Rental growth is only up 7% year over year. So actually outside of downtown has grown at 13%, which is almost double what inside of downtown has grown. I imagine more than anything, that's probably just a lack of inventory, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Interesting. Booking lead time is up. Really, really interesting. So let's take a look at booking demand over the last few years. So pre-COVID, you had still really high demand during COVID. Obviously, that demand faltered a little bit as people went to more tertiary vacation markets and not urban markets. 2022, that came kind of rip roaring back. 2023, it looks like downtown actually suffered just a little bit. And actually, what I'm seeing here is it's a number of listings that didn't go up enough that maybe there wasn't, the occupancy was probably really, really high during this period, and there just weren't enough listings. 900 listings over, 15,000 nights booked. So almost everything was booked. And you can see that because the number of listing days booked really kind of outpaces the number of listings that are even here. And that's how these two graphs kind of match, where you could see at the full Indianapolis, the pink line here, which is the number of listings, was below the number of listing nights booked. The number of listing nights booked is actually above the pink line here, which is showing that there's actually more nights booked than there was available listings, which I always find interesting. And that's really been the case. If you look at this pink line, that's been the case forever in Indianapolis. So more than anything, just a huge lack of supply out there. And yet you have, look at, July 2024, 20,000 nights booked. You get to July 2023, only 14,500. So 25% increase in the number of nights booked. And then if we look at total market revenue, you look at even apartments here, plus 15% average revenue year over year. And then if we look at total market revenue, let's see. I mean, just up significantly year over year. So August of last year was its highest month, 3 million. And then you get to July of this year and it's 4.5 million. That's a 50% increase in the amount of revenue, yet only a 7% increase in the number of listings. And obviously one thing that we've seen here is a lack of inventory, a lack of supply available for Airbnb, those nightly rentals. And so if you can get into this market, it seems like a market that'd be very difficult not to do well in. Average rates for professionally managed places are up 26%, which is pretty significant. Seems like some of the property management companies kind of figured out what to do.
Yeah.
Cool. What else? Anything you have to add, Jason?
No, I think people need to come check us out.
And you're closing on one tomorrow.
Yep.
That's awesome. So obviously, like any savvy agent, that's his money where his mouth is, and I'm doing the same thing. We bought one this year. We have another one under contract right now. And, it looks like seasonality overall is pretty good. Y'all are getting people pretty much every month of the year, right?
Yeah. I mean, it will slow down a little bit during the colder winter months, but there's still a ton of conventions and sporting events that people are still going to come to town for. But it will slow down, when compared to June, July, August type of numbers.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So, but overall, not a highly seasonal market. It seems like you should make money pretty much every month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Awesome. Well, if y'all want to learn more, www.savvy.realty/Jason, you can book a call with him or find him online, Jason Royer. You're on Facebook and everything. I don't know. I'm not on a lot of the other socials. So cool, man. Good to see you again. Good to hang out with you and try to get back to this window. Can you still hear me?
I can.
Oh, there we go. Okay. We were totally frozen there for a second. Okay, cool. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to upload this to YouTube and then we'll send this link out to everybody. And thanks, man. Good to see you again.
Thanks, Tyler.
All right. See you soon.